I request the speakers to put the speaker on the mute. So one by one, when you speak, you can unmute and speak. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome all the speakers for the next session of 100 Smart Cities. This is the sixth in series as we've been started 6 years back organizing the smart cities, and smart cities come a long way. And without all of your supports, it is impossible to make this country a smart and to create this platform. Having said that, there are ups and downs in the industry. There are ups and downs because of this COVID and various other things which is happening in and around the country. We have a distinguished speakers who's going to talk about their solutions, how they can help making these smart cities. My only request is be time is running short. I know in the morning we took a couple of times to this. So Prashant, you need to go to mute, and when your speaker term come, you need to unmute and speak. So I request one by one you start addressing the gathering. So I'll request the first speaker, Abhishek Kumar, Business Development Manager, India and Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal of Allied Telesis. Abhishek, over to you.
Thank you, Shashiji. Thank you for providing such a wonderful platform where we can directly communicate and discuss the requirements, the issues which are with respect to smart cities. And let me share the presentation. So is that visible to everyone?
Yes, it is visible. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So thank you, everyone, and I welcome all the guests who came and joined today, giving their precious time in joining this session. And the previous sessions are very fruitful and informative in terms that we got to know that what are the issues, what the authorities are looking forward in making the smart cities. Like Mr. Vivek, he emphasized on the automation. He started his discussion with automation. Like we need automation in all aspects. We get rid of all these preventions and dependencies on the human, and this COVID era has given a lot of learnings to us. Like people were locked down in their homes, they were not able to move out of their homes, and there were a lot of hard responsibility on the authorities to maintain the services and applications for the welfare of the public. So automation is important. And Mr. R.M. Agrawal, he emphasized on the security point, like the cyber security is important because the the pandemic, COVID pandemic has led the way of cyber pandemic as well. So cyber security is important, and then so these are the major issues which we have to address, and I believe that we understood the things very well. And today I am also going to discuss about security, how we can secure the smart networks, smart cities, bring intelligence into the network, because networks are the backbone of all the communication. Whatever be the device at the edge, whatever be the application at the edge, network plays a vital role in taking all the data from the edge points to the data center for various analytics and actions. And then automated, how we can automate the complete system so that there will be minimal human and manual intervention into that. So before I move to the agenda, I would like to give a brief overview what we are. We are a Japanese OEM headquartered in Japan, listed in Tokyo Exchange and we established in 1987 with 37 group companies in 24 countries around the world. We have 7 R&D centers across the globe: USA, Japan, India. We started this year itself the R&D center, and New Zealand, Taiwan, Israel, and Singapore. We have our own manufacturing facilities based out in Singapore, Indonesia, China, and Taiwan. Considering the geopolitical conditions in India, the ban on the Chinese products and Chinese origin products, we are providing all our products from our Singapore, Indonesia, and Taiwan plants. So all the products are non-China origin to ensure higher security standards in India and respecting the Indian policies. We have 65 locations globally, wherein through which our solutions and technology to our clients. We have complete portfolio for building a complete backbone for smart cities. From the data center perspective, we do have industrial grade switches for the edge. We have firewall routers, then we have media converters, Wi-Fi solution for building city Wi-Fi networks, and the software applications like cybersecurity applications. We have NMS and software controllers. Apart from that, this year also we have started some services wherein like we can provide managed services to the clients also. If the client wants, we manage their complete network, we can do that. And we have got very good recognition into smart space. Like we did first project in a smart city in 2015, but that was called the Baroda Eye, which later converted into a smart city platform. So it was a dedicated fiber backbone we built across the city for various applications, starting with the server. Later on, multiple applications hooked up on nowadays. Then we have done Raipur, Agra Smart City, Dehradun, Banaras Smart City. So we have done a lot of, and we are already doing a lot of other smart cities which are under evaluation and process. Similarly, we have done so many safe city projects like Rajasthan, 23 cities. Telangana is a very good project which is being considered as one of the role network or like project for other safe city projects in India. So apart from that, there are many projects which we have done till date, and thousands of our switches are deployed across India in various projects. So I am now coming directly to the agenda of secure, intelligent, and automation. This COVID era has, so if you look at this, this is the typical design of a smart city wherein we have edge, all your IoT devices are terminated, your cameras, your ANPR, whatever the edge device is, whether a parking sensor, IoT gateway, or air pollution gateway, any edge device has to terminate on a edge switches. So we have industrial grade switches for the edge, which we have, which are operational in various projects. Then we have the backbone that is called. So in smart cities, the backbone is either through ISPs. Some smart cities are following dedicated fiber network, and then we have the data center. We are in like multiple application analytics, video management, and the core auto and network automations are there. So today, let's. So this COVID era has given a lead the way of cyber attacks and cyber pandemic in India. If you look at close to 47% of the cyber attacks are due to security cameras, because security cameras are thousands in number in every smart cities, and it is very difficult for all the MSIs and all the clients to manage the security policies time to time. Most majorly is the default password login credentials. People use like default passwords like manager and friend, which comes with the product, and they don't change time to time basis. And this is the most major cause of hacks. So these are the vulnerables. So because cameras are spread across the city, so these are the most vulnerable soft points to which attackers can attack. Because in data center we have access control, we have physical security, but what about these data points which are across the city? So these are most vulnerable points. And in past we have witnessed so many cyber attacks. In fact, like last year, the White House security camera hacked before the inauguration event by Donald Trump. And they asked for 68,000 bitcoins against releasing the systems from uh, 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 encryption. There are a lot many other cyber attacks happened in last year, and this year also continuously every 15th day, every 10th day we are having a cyber attack, and they are not only attacking organizations, they are also attacking the public infrastructure, which means the municipality networks, the electricity networks. So the way, because once they disrupt the applications, the operations of any system, of any organization, through that they can earn the money or in somewhere. So we have to work upon the security. Now we have deployed several smart cities. Now it's the time to fine tune the systems for the coming smart city projects, and cyber security should be considered very well into coming projects. So we have come to a new solution, a software-defined networks to block the cyber attacks automatically. How it works, like it takes the inputs from the your security appliances like firewalls, SIEMs, and endpoint security software. Take the input, analyze the data. Where is the threat is there, from where the threat are coming, and then do the auto prevention of the threats, thereby avoiding the spread of the threats into the network. Let's have a deep look in how it works. Like whenever there is a detection of a threat by any firewall or any security appliance, we take the data from that device. As our security SDN controller is having the complete information of your network, even what IP address is, which device, even your CCTV camera, connected to which port, which switch, each and minute detail is recorded with us in our analytics server. Upon getting the threat from the security appliance and the policy which is being configured initially into the controller, it takes the action upon that. And why it is important? Because whenever there is a cyber attack, usually cyber attack happens in non-working hours, and by the time IT administrator or IT team get to know that the system has been hijacked or threat has entered into the system, it has infected the complete network or seized the complete network, and you can then to do anything. So time is very important. Acting at the right time, the moment the threat is detected, is important, and that's here the system works. It doesn't require any human intervention. Once you have configured a, if such event happens, what action you have to take? You have to block the communication of that device. You have to quarantine that device, be it anything. So, like this policy works over that, then the system checks, track the device from where the threat has entered into the system, into the network infrastructure, and it blocks that device from further communication. So what is the output is that only that single device is infected. The complete network you have protected, you have prevented from further infection. So that's the system works into that, and it also provides the complete information at what time the action being taken, and the location of the device, the geographical location of the device, everything is being emailed to the system integrator, to the IT administrator, or to the NMS. It works very well. So for us, there is no dependency on any agent to be implemented or to be installed in the edge devices. Usually, like we have Mac applications which requires a deployment of external agent. So if you look at the CCTV cameras, we have IoT gateways. They don't have the capability of integrating or installing any external agent. So how to protect those devices? And in smart cities, we have laptops and other devices. Install agents are very little, and they are restricted to only your data center. But what about the vulnerabilities which are spread across the city? We have in smart cities, we used to have 3,000 or 5,000 cameras. We used to have thousands across the city. We have thousands of IoT sensors which are spread across the city, and these are the vulnerabilities to protect them. So how this software defined AMF sec technology works on those devices as well, which does not have the capability to install any external agent. So what does it like? Whenever we get the, so we build our own database. We don't have the any dependency on LDAP server or radio server, external radio server. Build our own database. We can provide tagging to each and every device. And once a virus or anything been detected, we stop the communication of that device and mitigate or prevent the spread of across the network. That's through this we blocks the cyber threat the moment they detect it. Now, second is automation. Like we have already experienced that we were logged in 3 or 4 months in our homes. We don't have IT resources to move to the location to rectify the.
Abhishek, silent.
Okay, so we do have automation into the networks wherein we take the inputs from the network, analyze the data, and we can provide centralized management, auto provisioning. If any device is failed, you just go and replace it with the new one. You don't have to do anything. So it is all automated. So all your network operation, for example, you have to change password of 1,000 switches, just a single command, and all the passwords of 1,000 switches change periodically every 3 months or 1 month. So that sort of automation you can bring into the complete infrastructure. And for all these solutions, we have the edge, the smart edge, which is coupled with all these feature sets, which is, and it is very proven. Thousands of our these switches are deployed across all the safe city projects and smart city projects. These are layer 3. I would say that it is the time to move to a layer 3 edge rather than to a layer 2 edge, because it provides more and more security from in terms of security and in terms of reliable operations also. And we have to move to software defined networking, get out from the dependency of traditional networking and all. So these switches works from -40 to 75 and very rugged and very reliable operations. So that's the best product for smart cities. That's all from my side within 10 minutes. Thank you, Shashi, for giving 2 minutes more.
And thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you sharing the details of allied telesis, how allied telesis can help the smart cities. Thank you. Now I request Mr. Prashant Oberoi, who's the head of e-governance India Node and Communication. Prashant, over to you. Prashant, you are mute. Prashant. Okay. By the time Prashant comes back, may I request Sharad Aroda, who got another this thing. Sharad Aroda is the founder and MD, Centralized Digital Services, and the founder and the managing director. Sharadji, over to you.
A very good morning to you, Sashi. And may I just first check that you can hear me?
We can hear you. Very good.
Very, thanks a lot. A very good morning to you, and I must congratulate you for taking the effort and the courage to host this event. And from the looks of the participation, I think you have probably a more successful event than your regular ones. Good afternoon to all the panelists, and
your
video
is not coming. Your video is dark, Sharad. Or you have put the video into this thing. Your video is dark. Yeah, now it's clear. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So one more time, good afternoon to the panelists and good afternoon to the audience. I have come to this event every time from when it was first conceptualized by Shashiji, and I've always had the privilege of this presentation. I will try to keep my presentation sharp to the 10 minutes, so it will be quick. And am I audible to you?
Yeah. Bilkul, Sharadji. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen and I would like quick confirmation when the screen comes up because it's a bit new for everyone. Please let me know if the screen is visible to everyone.
Sure, sure. You share the screen.
Okay, thank you. So good afternoon, and I start here. Today we
Yes, it's absolutely clear. Go ahead.
for the practitioners, and then we will spend a couple of minutes saying, for the sake of completeness, what are the things that we as Sensorize have been doing. Much like Sheldon did, I would like to make a very quick introduction of ourselves. We are also not a well-known company. We are an Indian startup in the role model of a M2M service provider. We have introduced the embedded connectivity for machine connectivity in this country. And we have assisted the Swachh Bharat mission with customer feedback devices and portals. And we have assisted the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways initiatives of AIS 140 with public service tracking capabilities. Differentiators for us are we are an in-house R&D team and we are an end-to-end service provider. Other than that, we contribute very heavily to standards and policies. This is our way of giving back to the country. We have participated in more than a dozen technical reports. We contribute to Honorable TRAI's consultations. We are a member of the MTCTE, also the working group with Niti Aayog, and contribute more importantly to the standards such as 5G application layers and TSDSI's initiatives, other than the BIS initiatives for the IoT and smart cities segments. I come back to the presentation. I'd like to start with basically pointing out that when we talk about smart cities, amongst the most important things to understand are the goals. And towards that, in these few minutes that we have today, I would like to establish how very important initiatives have been taken by ITU and United Nations under the U4SSC to actually fully describe the dimensions on which a smart sustainable cities livability index can be viewed. And they have taken the dimensions of economy, the environment, the society and culture, and methodically described fully the method for identification of categories and the KPIs. You will find that ICT and data services are amongst the highest priority in this approach. Similarly, Smart Sustainability Cities Livability Index by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs had earlier set aside a methodology in which it had 4 pillars: institutional, social, economic, and physical. And within the institutional, the governance aspect and the smart services from an online set of command centers or online set of services were the highest priority there too. These smart cities will obviously generate zettabytes of city and citizen related data. And to our mind, the most important aspects of the smart cities, the smart sustainable cities for the future, are actually hidden away in how it will manage and marshal its resources through command centers, through online services, such as to offer a high quality of living. And high quality of living will determine where people go, and that will determine where the GDP is generated. And so you can see the relationship pretty directly. There are a lot of resources available to smart city administrators, and I thought we could spend a few minutes looking through the work that has been done by TEC, by BIS, by TSDSI, ITU, as I said, the U4SSC, which is a joint initiative of the UN, ITU, and many of the standardization organizations. And last but not the least, something that Mr. Chandra mentioned in the previous session, an incredibly important embodiment of work of 1M2M. So my purpose here is to make smart cities practitioners and those who are in the audience be aware that a lot of work an incredible wealth of specification information is available within the KPI domain, within the actual standards for specific things, which I will just try to quickly put up for your review, so that people are aware that both in the horizontal areas and in the vertical industry domains, a lot of work in requirement management, in architectures, in implementable solutions has been done, and they are easily available through the various publications of the standardization houses. Some of these are mentioned here. In the horizontal areas, interoperability of smart city platforms. In my opinion, we can shout from the top of the roof for 100 other things, but it's the most important area. A good interoperable smart city platform is the foundation for the sustainability of the city for the future. High-level requirements and reference framework for smart city platforms, and reference architectures for the M2M service layer. Amongst the most important, there are thousands of standards. Listed here are those few that are really critical for smart city practitioners. And then there are vertical industry domain standards like that for power and energy, automotive and transports, things like smart parking, and so on and so forth. Look these up, because these can help a lot in how specifications are drawn and how the smart cities will evolve. Then again, as I said, there is an incredibly important embodiment of works by 1M2M. A 1M2M repository pretty much describes everything that you need to describe in trying to make requirements for what should be a good smart cities platform, what should be the connectivity architecture, security architecture, and so on and so forth. And now down to the ontology and semantics for specific things like home appliances, for specific things like energy, for specific things even like parking, etc. So this is an embodiment of work that is extremely valuable for this audience and the practitioners. In our humble opinion, the most important imperatives, and I limit this to the ICT imperatives, are around identity, safety, security. It is very important for smart cities, as billions of devices will get connected and will allow the smart city to marshal its resources. Where are there floods? Where is there absence of water flow, and so on and so forth? Energy, metering, intelligent transport. All this information will come to a smart city through these IoT, ICT assets. And one of the most important things for smart cities will be able to uniquely identify and ensure that it's a standardized device. Availability, quality of service, and manageability. Remote manageability of these assets is the second most important, because once you have billions of devices deployed out there in the field, chances that you will be able to repair and manage by going to the device is almost negligible. And then, of course, the data sharing piece, which is the smart cities platform, data sharing, interoperability. Which data, there is so much data aggregation coming from different boards, so much data comes to different government servers, different government offices. Does that get back to the practitioners? Does that data become easily available to the people who want to use it at the point in time when it is required? I think that is an incredibly big area that is open for much more work. So smart city platform, standardization and interoperability, data source identification, data sharing, and data privacy. Those are some of the most important imperatives for smart cities practitioners. And of course, in that area too, a lot of work is getting done. So you don't necessarily need to go out there and hire a CTO or go and hire a CIO. There is a simple and direct ability to reference some of these standards to say how you want your data managed. And I think this got mentioned, but I will try to highlight this part, that under the chairmanship of Mr. Sushil Kumar, DDG IoT, a committee was set up which has submitted its report to the government, recommending that 1M2M standards for IoT and smart cities are notified as national standards. So that's a very, very important step as and when it gets taken. Trying to fulfill our part here, as Sensorize, we bring intelligent M2M connectivity. The most important part here is to make you aware that connectivity is now machine solderable. Connectivity is now remote provisionable. So when you make a device, when you set up your street lights, when you set up your remote agents, you don't need to buy the SIM card. You can have the SIM card hardwired into your PCB and provision it remotely. You can choose networks remotely. You can have multiple networks if you want quality of service, so that if you lose one network, your device in a mission critical use case will automatically switch to another device. And all of this is fully proven and practically available. The other most important thing now is that an Indian manufacturer doesn't need to go out to look for connectivity in other countries. 190 countries worth of connectivity, local connectivity at local rates, is available by remote provisionable means, similar to the remote provisioning that has been described just now. And that is something which has been one of our flagship efforts in the last 5 years, to make M2M connectivity, to proliferate M2M connectivity without restrictions for the manufacturer, for the device maker. Other than that, one of the big challenges we have noticed is that of security, end-to-end encryption, and not just the challenge of doing it, but also the challenge of doing it at low power over very low cost controllers. And Sensorize has implemented a mechanism which is extremely affordable, which works with any small device type, and it can do end-to-end encryption in which is consistent with the honorable TRAI's requirements of end-to-end security in all M2M use cases, which is very important for smart cities. Other than that, sensing of intelligent sensors or data collection, one of the big important things is to have devices, embedded electronics that can frugally collect data, that can convert protocols, and that can transport this data into backends, for example, for discoms, for example, that for ULBs. And we have proven in 2 different cases how local innovation, extremely frugal cost devices can acquire data from a host and variety of sensors and push them into corporate databases or government databases. And this is something that we have shown in one of the implementations, which is the AIS 140 implementation through BSNL of public service tracking of vehicles. That in summary is what we are, and I would like to just say that supporting the initiatives of Bharat exhibitions is always a pleasure. And thank you, Sashi, for giving us this chance to speak at your conference. And thank you to all the panelists and audience for listening to us.
Thank you, Sharadji. Thank you very much. Sharadji has shared a lot of things on what can be done on the smart city. One of the pioneer in the telecom industry, worked in the Tatas for a long time and started his own company. Now we move. Is Prashant, your network is okay? Prashant? No, Prashant, I believe, still have a problem. Now I request Brijesh Minglani from Force Point to address the gathering. Brijesh?
Hey, hi Shashi.
Hi.
Yeah, thanks for setting up this stage. So today in this discussion, I think I will start by saying I think from the morning we are hearing on the smart cities, the data perspective to it, a user perspective to it. So I want to focus the next 10 minutes on how we can bring a Force Point can bring a user and data security angle to the smart cities. And we are also providing such kind of services to the current smart cities. So let me share my presentation. So I hope my presentation is visible, Shashi.
Not yet. Yes, now it's coming. Yes, it's now done.
Okay. So first of all, the convergence is the key at this time when you're talking about from a security aspect. Okay, and when we are hearing and when we are talking about, there are so many components, so many integration points which are available in a smart city, starting from a sensors back to a number of devices that are processing those data, and then to an application layer. The convergence is a key. So Foresight as a company is the world leading company, focuses on the cybersecurity platform from a user and data protection point of view, because we have understand from the last 20 years, whether it's now pre-COVID, post-COVID situations, the two constant things in the cyber security is a user and a data attribute, or in a cyber security terms, if I'll say a subject and an object. So Forcepoint is a leader vendor in a cyber security when it comes to technologies like network security, data security, user behavior analytics. So we are the solution vendor which provides these technologies into different deployment modes. So like smart cities are currently adopting these technologies into an on-premise solutions. Some are leveraging and using these technologies through MSP players. The focus is converged security, and we have multiple customers across the globe, which supported by 3,000 plus employees. Let's understand what is there in the smart cities from a control center perspective. So the control center started processing the components which are coming from a sensors. Okay. Now those sensors are sharing their intelligence or sharing the data point over a network layer. That can be a wired, that can be wireless, that can be over a SIM or over a Wi-Fi or any other medium. These particular network points or the data points are hosted into a data center. Now, leveraging a cloud platform is also adopted as a private cloud with some MSP player, or maybe down the line we will also started adopting a hybrid cloud. Okay, taking into consideration a COVID situation when you also need to have some kind of a remote infrastructure piece. Now, this all platform are provide us an application, and on these applications, the people who are sitting in ICC or other people interacts. Okay, and that's where you build a different security components as a part of smart cities. So you build that you need to have some network security component. In the morning, Mr. Agarwal, I think specifically mentioned on those 3-4 parameters that network security is very important, whether they have started from a router security perspective or data security is very important. And on top of it, when you are churning so much data, the behavioral analytics, the user components when interacting with the data is also very important, because you don't want to land into a situation when the machine is compromised, or as one of my friend was saying, from a ransomware attack where the sabotage is happening. Okay, so these all set of security solutions play a major role in building a very important aspect, that how we make sure the data which is capturing by multiple sensors or over a multiple layers should be secured, should be integrated. How we will maintain the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of those solutions. So from a Forcepoint side, we have worked with multiple smart cities and onto a multiple layers. So I will touch on each and every layer to give you a view how a Forcepoint is making as a difference through his cyber security solutions. So internet is the basic necessity nowadays. So when you connect to an internet, whether it's coming from a broadband connections, whether it's coming from a point to point back to an internet, securing an internet is an important aspect. It's not only applicable to a person who's sitting in ICC, it's also applicable if a person is sitting at some remote location and try to access certain components of an ICC. So before you adopt Forcepoint security, if you are facing any internet threats, we will make sure that we will protect those internet threats with the malicious components. So we have our technologies like next generations firewall, remote browser isolations, web security, addressing and resolving this business objective of internet security. The second is an email. Email, we all understand, is the communication medium, which also pose a threats coming out from different domains mail and may have certain URLs or certain payloads which can be inspected. So how you can bring an email security angle to provide that end-to-end security. Okay, so from an email security point of view, email encryption point of view, any email which is going out, checking those contents, checking those components are taken care by Forcepoint. From a data perspective, I think data is very important, and data is taking different angle in a cyber security world is today's time. We are talking about a data exfiltration from a compromised user. We are talking about a data privacy, because we are seeing now the attacks are happening for the PII information. We have seen, I think, 1 month back, an attack which has happened in India where the healthcare department COVID-19 patients' data got leaked, which was purely related to privacy risk. So how we'll make sure that the PII information or a privacy information that we are storing for the data needs to be secured, and it needs to be secured at each layer. It needs to be secured on data in transit, data which is lying in a file server, data lying in a databases, and people who are using that data. So Forcepoint provides that holistic coverage, and along with that, if you have your cloud applications which you are hosting in your private cloud, so cloud doesn't mean that it needs always to be a open. Your private cloud hosting a servers and applications which are taking a data is also needs to be protected. Then visibility plays a major role. So whatever the activities which are happening, data transits which are happening, user activities needs to be happening, needs to be monitored. Everyone understood in a cyber security work, human element will always play a major role. And there is a possibility to detect an human element because it doesn't goes into 0 and 1. You can
Bridges,
predict a behavior.
Bridges timing.
Yeah. So just taking the last one 10-15 seconds. So human risk, as I mentioned, we will also provide your security to protect you on a human risk. And I want to mention few smart cities which where we are providing those features. So this is the platform we are talking about. So this platform covering your user edge perspective, this can be hosted in a private cloud, public cloud. It can be used by any user inside, outside to access any application. And these are the smart cities where we are providing these set of services. Okay, so in the limited time, the intent is how you can build a cybersecurity with better user and data protection model and bring those services back to the smart cities. So with that, I will thank Mr. Sashi sir for this stage, and over to you, Sashi sir. Thank you.
Bridges, a fantastic presentation talking about how to secure the smart city. Fantastic. Today, the cyber world is going through a big challenge, and companies like Forcepoint and various other companies, they're helping this country to save the cyber world. Bridges, thank you. I move to the next speaker. I believe Prashant still having a problem with joining. Devrata Samadar from Kolkata. He's the general manager for Tata Steel Downstream Products. Tata has started this division, giving us the smart poles for everywhere. For the smart city, we need smart pole. Without smart pole, we can't do. And especially, it is coming from Tata. Wow. So, Devrat, over to you. Dada, you are mute.
Is it okay now?
Yes, Dada, go ahead.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Thanks, Shashi and Bharat Exhibitions and all the panelists and all the audience who has been waiting for long. I am actually standing on the way to lunch. So I'm sure that Shashi has organized a virtual lunch for all of us.
Yes, I will send across the burger and the Pepsi too on the virtual. Yes.
Yeah. And, and you can send us the e-coupon also, which we can redeem. Great. I will share my screen. Just give me 1 minute. Let me see if I can share the screen. Is the screen visible?
Not yet, Dada.
Okay. Okay. I think it is now. It is showing.
Your network. Yeah. Now it should come. No.
It is something. It is there, but your entire screen is showing there. This is getting disabled because of some reason. I don't know. Oh. Just give me a minute. It is no, I don't know what is happening actually. Generally, it happens all the time. Okay, so I will continue till it operating fully.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So we are part of the Tata Group, as you know, and Tata Group is 113 billion US dollar company, and we are part of that. We are actually part of Tata Steel. Now, Tata Steel also is a company which is of the size of 140,000 crores. So this company was set up. Our company actually had gone through a number of incarnations. Basically, we started in 1997 as a joint venture between Ryerson Tull of US and Tata Steel. And after that, we operated in India for several years. And in 2010, our company was taken over by Tata Steel as a wholly owned subsidiary. So before that, it was a joint venture between Tata Steel and Ryerson Tull of US. Ryerson Tull happens to be a huge steel distribution company in the entire North America, including Canada. So we started here in 2010 as a wholly owned subsidiary. It went up to 2019, and 2019 we changed our name to Tata Steel Downstream Products Limited. So there are three names which has changed. Initially, we were Tata Ryerson, and after that, when in 2010 we became 100% subsidiary, we became Tata Steel Processing and Distribution Company Limited. That's actually what we do, processing and distribution. And then in 2019, the wise men in the company and the group felt that what we do is basically downstream products. So it was more precise and apt. So we actually went to Tata Steel Downstream Products Limited. So that's the company which we have. Now, I will take one more try to see that if it is possible to share the screen, and then I will otherwise move on. It is sometimes it goes this way. So Tata Steel Downstream Products Limited is there in the business of various steel related the products. And for information, Tata Steel, although makes 27 million tons of steel across the world, Tata Steel also makes special products made of steel. Generally, it is made of steel, but it can be steel agnostic also. So Tata Steel makes Pravesh doors, which is made of steel, but it is perfectly wood finish with the elegance of steel and the elegance of wood and the strength of steel. Now, we also in a company which is around 600 million US dollar company as on 2019. So we actually have started with lots of steel distribution. We do around 70,000 tons of steel to various OEMs and MSMEs across the company, which is around 350 crores per month. In addition to that, we also do a lot of job work for Tata Steel, and we do it for Toyota, we do it for Honda and all the big OEMs across the country. We do export also. Now, we have started new products, and these new products basically are in the field of security, in the field of safety, and in the field of hygiene. So obviously, when security and safety comes, then it makes sense to be a part of this huge exercise of smart city. So as you know that the smart city concept basically started in 2014-15. The BJP manifesto was there 2014 to make 100 smart cities, and all of us know the history. There were a couple of initial smart cities which was thought of to be set up with some premier global consultants like Kochi, like Varanasi, etc. And then we had Amrut in between. And now we have around 100 plus smart cities which are either Some of them have been either completed, or some of them basically in different stages of completion. Interestingly, there is a very nice study by Deloitte, and which talks about the various aspects the smart city covers. Our learned panelist earlier, in fact, touched upon. So this particular aspects basically start with mobility, safety, education, health, leisure and retail, manufacturing, and governance. So there are 5, 6 very different facets are there. And if you honestly ask yourself that we have just started. It's maybe around 3 to 4 years now, and we haven't gone into a stage where we can globally participate to become a adored and admired smart city in the world. So which is very, very rare to happen. There are various agencies in the world which actually rates the smart cities across. You will see that Barcelona is one of the smart cities which is rated almost the best or one of the best in many aspects and criteria, and many of them have told that yes, this is the smart city which is to be a benchmark, along with many others like Seoul. Seoul is another one which is another smart city. So what is very special about is that they work in a very seamless way, and the proof of a smart city, as we know, is in the hands of the people. That means if we have a referendum, if we have a voting across for all the citizens of a smart city, they must tell whether they get benefited out of it or not. So one is a service, one is the monetization, but very importantly is what is that which they are getting at the end of the day. So if you ask an auto rickshaw driver in a city of Varanasi that, you should be proud to stay and live in a city, Varanasi, which is a smart city. If the auto driver says, oh, is it like that? I haven't heard about it. I haven't felt about it. I haven't realized about it. So then I think something is wrong in the conceptualization and the planning of the smart city. So many of you who have actually traveled abroad, they possibly have seen, wow, how smart a city can be. In Barcelona, an example is, the city police is completely in control of whatever is happening in the entire city of Barcelona. If there is a gunshot which is fired from one corner of the city, the smartness of the city is so much that it can hear the decibel. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it can measure the decibel, and it can exactly distinguish between whether it is a gunshot or a cracker or the jubilations after the Barcelona FC has won. So accordingly, their command center can act upon. In Seoul, there are a lot of domestic violence which happens, and people can actually see that what is the extent of domestic violence which is happening at different places. Coming to what we do, see, we actually have started with various types of products which basically are made out of steel. And now we have branched out to various other products which are basically new materials, which is including, let's say, FRP. Now, there are 6 categories. I wish I could have shown you this slide, but because of whatever reason, I think it is getting a little disturbed. But I think that is not a problem. We can keep on talking on this. There are 6 products which we have actually identified, and we have started offering to various smart city SPVs across India. The number one is basically the outdoor rack. The outdoor rack is basically a simple rack, but when you talk to about how actually it can perform with a lot of rainwater coming in, so ingress protection is very important. So there are various stages of ingress protection like 54, 55, 65, 66, and it is made of the best quality steel which is galvanized, which can withstand any atmospheric corrosion for a long time, and we have all the glands, and so that the material inside or the components inside is safe. Out in the atmosphere, it must be safe. We have also a product which is a product which is Smart Pole, which Shashi has just pointed out. Now, Smart Pole can be smart with different degrees of smartness. If it hosts only a outdoor rack, outdoor box with certain surveillance instruments, that is one part. But it can be smart if it has an LED light with energy efficient auto on off. It has various checkpoints about the speed. It has the checkpoint about the environment, the temperature, which can be beamed across the citizens of the smart city. So we are looking into those things also for a smart pole. Then the next one is very important, which we do is basically for the command centers where the data has to reside in absolute privacy and security. We have smart cabinets. These smart cabinets are made of various types of inbuilt gadgets, and it is like a standalone data center. Many of our friends who are from this data center field must be knowing this, how actually it is configured. It is a standalone data center or miniaturized data center where it does not require any separate infrastructural support. This sort of smart rack has an air conditioning unit inside. It has a fire protection unit completely attached to it. It has an access control which can be having an audit trail for 1 year. It can be also having an UPS, which actually will stand for any loss of power for any time. It can also have, very important is access control with multiple degrees of hierarchy of control. So that's something which is extremely important for a smart cabinet. It is very popular in standalone SOHO, small office, home offices, but it is catching very much popularity.
That timing, you need to wrap up.
Kamal, a couple of other points which are there is we are coming up with smart cabinets. The smart cabinets are basically with highest degree of security, with digital, with Wi-Fi, and with OTP control, so that the very, very important and very, very important assets and valuable assets can be kept. And the last but not the least is the hygiene. We have smart toilets, and there are quite a number of smart cities, as you know, Ahmedabad and others, where people have gone for a smart toilet where it is coin or OTP operated, flush in, flush out, Wi-Fi enabled, and it is absolutely clean. So we are new, although the company is 120 years old. We have come in last 2 or 3 years, and I think we are here to give our best services and deliverables. I wish I could have shown you the PPT which has all the details, but because of technical glitch, it couldn't be.
Please send it to us. We will share it with everyone.
Right. Thank you very much, Shashi. Thanks for organizing this in these difficult times.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We had Devrata talking about the smart pole, the smart rack, the smart cabinets. Moving to the next speaker is Aman Arora, the Vice President Business Development, Globus Infocom Limited. Aman, over to you.
Hi, thank you so much. Finally,
I know I did 1 or 2 speaker here and there. I'm sorry.
no problems, no problems. I sincerely hope that you guys can see the screen as well.
Yeah, yes, we can see the good presentation. Yes, go ahead, start.
Okay. Hello everyone and welcome to today's session on smart education, and topic of our discussion for next 10 minutes is smart education leads to smarter cities. And even though this topic in itself might need
Aman, your voice is the thing. Can you just either take a chord instead of cordless? Can you use the cord one?
Sure. Is it better now?
Little better. Go ahead, start.
Okay. So topic of our discussion for next 10 minutes is smart education leads to smarter cities. Even though this topic in itself might need a dedicated day of a conference among the key decision makers and the industry stalwarts like Shri Vivek Bandhanji, T.V. Ramachandranji, and the other industry colleagues. But as of now, since we have just 10 minutes, let's look at the, let's move forward. At this stage, we are very well acquainted with the term smart city, and even though there's no universal definition, but there are a few things that paint a picture of a smart city, including infrastructure facilities and services aspired by every inhabitant. Now, in today's generation, everyone has a crave to lead a comfortable and a sociable life. Everyone wants their tasks to be done automatically, accurately, and instantaneously. For example, a homemaker expects the lights to turn on automatically when she enters the room. And this can only be possible by making her life using the technologies. Okay, may I request everyone to put that on mute, please? Thank you. While defining the comprehensive development and transformation of a smart city, smart education plays a vital. Education and development have to go together synchronously to boost the nation's progress or to create a prolific, inclusive, and a wholesome smart city. Now, smart cities and smart education are so interrelated that to each other that having knowledge on how to use a smart technology can help in building a smart city, and having a smart and innovative thinking capacity will help transforming the city into a smart city. Now, I thank all of you for taking out time in your jam-packed schedules by present here today. Just a little housekeeping that before we get started, I'll be running a Q&A session and at the backstage, and so you can ask as many questions as you want at the end of this presentation. If you miss anything, don't worry. We'll be sending out a video on demand whenever it's available. Now let's have a look at the agenda for next 8 minutes or so. We'll start with glancing at the journey of smart education till date. We'll also concentrate on a few challenges and the roadblocks what come across the smart education. What is the proposed solution and the way forward for it? I'm Aman Arora, Vice President here at Globus. I've spent more than 1.5 decades in the industry with focusing on coming up with suitable solutions for majority of the business houses. I'm also known for enhancing overall performance through technology upgrades and implementation of best practices. So let's look at the journey for smart education till date. These are the classrooms of yesterday where chalk, dust, erase, repeat, and sneeze. These ancient boards were heavy, non-scalable, required a lot of chalk, time, patience in the past. In the past, various technologies were introduced in the education, but not all technologies were successful in the classroom. They were often teacher-centric, designed to work in conjunction with traditional teaching methods and which were not engaging to the new generation of students moving rapidly into the digital adaptation curve. Now, with everything right from our homes to our lifestyles going smarter, it becomes the need of the hour for digital transformation of our education as well. Now, for the citizens of smart city to thrive, we must place smart education in the center of this initiative. And smart education is the key ingredient for smart cities. Nowadays, the development of smart education ecosystem involves smarter deployment of digital technologies. To achieve more effectiveness in classroom technologies, educators can now turn into innovations centered on the student and the teacher-student collaboration. Now let's try to understand what were the basic roadblocks or the challenges what were faced so far by smart education. Now, challenges were faced by multiple people, the multiple decision makers. The first is the management and the administration, where they faced the challenge of creating an infrastructure for the classrooms, which obviously leads to the monetary resources and the budgeting. Infrastructure for the virtual classroom. Now today, during the COVID era, we all are facing issues that students are not going to the classrooms. So there is a challenge for the hardware mind, whether it's a laptop or it's a tablet, and for the needy students. And second is the connectivity, where almost only 2 states have 40% of rural households with internet facilities. Now let's try to understand the challenges from teachers' perspective. Their interaction and communication with the students' pace to learn, and students' challenges are understanding the concept, visualization, that is most important, and their creativity, and similarly the mental development. And last and the most important aspect, which is the new term which is coming up in education today, is not right to education, right to better education. And these are the few requirement analysis which we could gauge based on the feedback from last 19 odd years we have spent in this industry, which are few like enhanced learning experience, interactive, ease access, paperless classrooms, time-saving technologies, increased productivity, animation visualizations, and integration with the latest applications like YouTube's and Facebook's and CRMs. Now, let's try to understand where are we right now in terms of adoption of smart education in India and how India has evolved in terms of smart education. In the past few years, we have observed a tremendous change in Indian education system. Smart classrooms, language labs, e-learnings have become a common phenomenon not only in the private institute but also in the government institutes also. And similarly, this has not been limited to the urban boundary but also has now penetrated into the rural boundaries as well. We ourselves have done more than 1,500 Kendriya Vidyalayas. We've done more than 400 classrooms of Sarvodaya Vidyalayas. We have done 36 ITIs across Uttarakhand, 221 education institutes in Telangana, and there are many, many more. And if you want to look at the few accolades, there are a few. These are a few from.
एक तरह से क्रांतिकारी कदम साबित
इस प्रोग्राम भी है ऑब्जेक्टिव नॉलेज भी बढ़ाते हैं in much better way as compared to simple
डेवलप होना है खाने सीखने के लिए it's a
how is it very useful and वहाँ पे सारी उसके concepts वगैरह अच्छा लगता है क्योंकि पहले when we had before a single day.
Sorry, I was running short of time, so that's why I had to do a fast forward. Otherwise, there are plenty of these scenarios where you'll see that smart education has started penetrating into the rural India as well. However, when it comes to smart cities, there's a long way ahead to go. So if you look at the pie charts, you'll see a lot of space for smart living, smart government environment, but there's hardly any space for smart education in the smart cities of today's world. A portion of smart cities have already taken up this initiative to digitally empower the education. However, there are many educational organizations in the country that they do not offer the functionality that modern digital and education-rich institutes should encompass. Now, so that means that we have many schools or colleges or education institutes are really behind the curve when it comes to adoption of smart technologies. Let's try to understand what possibly are proposed solutions and what the industry has been offering. Now, in order to replace a blackboard or a whiteboard, of course, there's a lot of solutions available like digital teaching, projector-based, or the interactive flat panel display boards. Now, few of the education tools which are there in the industry are projector-based solutions, interactive flat panel board display solutions, languages labs, where the educations can be especially on the multilingual, especially for a country which is so multilingual, it can actually be an ideal solution. Digital podiums where the presenters can present their solutions. Similarly, the digital touch tables where dissection of a frog or a human body can be done even before the actual dissection. Personal devices like tablets and the laptops, virtual reality labs, 3D science labs, and the virtual classrooms, which today in COVID-19 era has been the mantra of today. Now, because of these smart education solutions, we suggest what can possibly be the way forward. Now, let's try to understand how smart education can help bolster the smart city initiative. A survey was very recently conducted by Deloitte, which is more than 80% of those with 10 or fewer years of experience in teaching believe that the education technology at school makes a real big or a pretty big difference in the mindset of students learning. Now, without a doubt, Smart education packs a lot of potential in terms of socio-economic development of a society, whether you talk about the constant flow of real-time education, you talk about the students are able to experiment, they have the exposure to advanced technology, equal opportunity to all the students, and last but not the least, inspiring students to become responsible citizens who can contribute to smart city and the current society today. Now, this is the way, based on our last few years of experience with smart cities, these are the few things which we think are the way forward. Now, even though majority of the schools have been starting introducing the smart infrastructure in their schools, but very less accessibility has been given to the students, and it is a good initiative though, but accessibility should be made more approachable to the students. Now, many workshops regarding the technology should be taught in the school so that right from the very young age, children have enough knowledge on the technology. And while digital transformation of education is adopted by organizations at a rapid pace, accessibility to each and everyone, which means as much as it is important for education to get smarter, it is also very crucial that quality education should be available for each and every student equally. Now, lack of technological devices among students also is one of the biggest challenge in smart education. Hence, more spend should also be considered towards education technology in the smart cities for now. Now, let's try to understand, how Globus has played a role in this current scenario and how we can contribute to the situation. As Globus is a leading manufacturer for advanced education technologies, digital signage and display technology, AI-based security and surveillance technology, and very recently during COVID-19 era, we have started a new vertical called healthcare and wellness technology. We were incorporated in 2001 with we have an impeccable and the most extensive service support network across the country, and wide range of Globus products have been installed in thousands of locations. And right now, I can safely say that we have more than 25,000 plus satisfied customers. And these are all being installed in highly sensitive defense locations, smart cities, safe cities, government buildings, hospitals, educational institutes, and assuring the best in the best support and services. Globus owes its success to the stringent quality measures and strictly following the international standard like BIS.
You need to sum up on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my last slide. Thank you. So all these certifications like ISO 9001, 14001, ISO 20000, 27001, these things makes task of a decision maker very easy and better as well. And last slide on why Globus has been able to penetrate into the market for so many years and why end users have always been preferring on Globus is because we believe in the mantra of providing the best technology, the better quality, and the way we handle our projects well. Thank you so much, guys, for providing me the opportunity. You have been a lovely audience. You have heard from me now, and more than happy to take all your queries at my back session.
Thank you, thank you. Fantastic product. Talking about the smart classes, which is the next big business opportunity in and around the world. Having said that, we move now to Dubai. The speaker is from Dubai, Mr. Ahmed, Chief Solution Architect Worldwide Infoblox. Ahmed, over to you. Can't hear you. Yeah. Ahmed, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Any other speaker, can you hear him?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Hello?
No,
No, we can't
hear.
hear you. Ahmed, we can't hear you. Hello? Ahmed? Ahmed, I can't hear you. Ahmed, I can't hear you. Ahmed, can you hear me? Hello, Ahmed? Can't hear you. Hello? Can you increase the volume of the laptop? Maybe the laptop volume is not there.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Now, yeah.
Thank you very much. So let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, no, not yet. Screen will come in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, you see my, sorry about that. You see my slides?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. Very interesting sessions along this morning. So, I am Ahmad from Dubai, Chief Solution Architect for Infoblox. Been working for Infoblox for the past 7 years across Europe, Middle East, and recently Asia-Pac. So, I'm going to talk to you about the rethinking the security architecture in the digital age, especially in the smart cities context. So if we talk about digital transformation, what is exactly digital transformation? Is about using the latest technology that we have to make things better and to do the same things that we used to do on a daily basis. So example of that is, smart metering, smart cities, and Uber. For example, today you can easily get from point A to point B using Uber application from your smartphone, rather than having to call a taxi and wait for the taxi, book an appointment, and pay in a cash currency. So digital transformation is changing the way we do things in a very fast manner. So today, when we're looking in the context of traditional networking architecture for the past 20 years, we have been designing and building networking in a very traditional way, where we used to have this centralized architecture, centralized buildings, data centers, where we put all of our application, all of our devices, all of our users in one place, and we apply the security across that defined perimeter. Right? So this is basically where we used to put layers of security, fire endpoint security, where we have a defined parameter. However, with the new change of digital transformation, things are opening up. We are seeing the evolution to cloud services, to SaaS applications, SD-WAN. Now we're having 4G and 5G broadband coming up. IoT devices now will be connecting directly on the internet layer. So internet will be the connectivity fabric. And this is basically taking us to a completely decentralized architecture, where we will be using applications that are SaaS applications hosted in the cloud, examples like Office 365, Salesforce, and we will be also relying a lot on the cloud technologies like Azure, AWS. So this decentralized architecture needs decentralized networking and security, and this is actually taking us to a borderless service. Now we have new ways to come in and out. We are now with the pandemic of Corona, we're working remotely from home. Users are taking the laptops, their devices, working remotely and from remote offices or from home. In the context of smart cities, we will have the IoT devices connecting on the internet layer. So this is basically needs us or pushes us to rethink security. So from Infoblox perspective, what does Infoblox really do? We are a market leader in the secure DDI technology for DNS, DSCP, IP address management, and this is a foundation technology for connectivity for all devices and users in the context of smart cities, right? So we will be offering this foundational platform to be able to connect all devices on a network, and we will identify what type of devices are these devices legitimate. And with this new architecture, we will be going to something called zero trust networking, where each and every device that connects on the network, we need to verify it, authenticate it, understand the user who is using this device. If this is a smart meter or an IoT device, is it actually allowed to connect to the network? And when it is connecting on the network, is it doing good behavior, sending bad traffic? Is it infected? Is it been hijacked by a hacker? So with that, we are actually providing a platform that help in this foundational connectivity and security layer. So from that perspective, Infoblox is providing this authoritative real-time user devices database. So we will identify the different type of devices connecting on the network, what they're using, what is the different details, what is the type of the device, what destinations is trying to access, and based on that, we are actually providing a carrier-grade DDI fingerprint for the smart city infrastructure. And this will also allow us to look from a security point of view, given we are using the DNS, the domain name system that translates name to IP. We are using it as a policy engine at the moment, so we can actually identify if there are malicious devices, malicious users who are actually been infected by attackers and trying to access bad destinations. We are using created threat intelligence data. We are actually looking at machine learning technology that looks at the data over time to be able to secure these devices and actually make sure that we have only authorized users connecting on the network. So from that perspective, Infoblox is a secure leading DDI. We are a US-based vendor, more than 20 years old. We have around 9,000 customers worldwide using our platforms and solutions, including many customers in India, and we also have a more than 50% market share as per Gartner and IDC. And I've noted on the left the contact of the India team. We have a local India team, and we will have around 10 people based in India, over the next few months. So we have different customers from different verticals and sectors that use our technology, from telecom to retail to government, manufacturing, and also we are working in Dubai with many, government agencies to be look at the smart city sectors as well. So this is basically my presentation for today. Any questions?
Thank you, Ahmed. We will take the questions in the last. There are a couple of questions which has come to me. I will share it with you.
Okay.
Prashant is still there? Any luck? No, he's
I'm here. I'm here,
bad.
sir. I'm here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Prashant. Yeah, Prashant, start.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Thank you, Shashi sir. Sorry for the net connection, but thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for the opportunity given and conducting the session in this hard times as well. It is obviously a pleasure. I have been attending this session for a few years now, and good to be part of the presentation this time. I would have hoped this could be a physical meeting session, but unfortunately the situation doesn't allow. Anyway, coming on to the thing, I was hearing in the first... Yeah, I am sure soon we will be able to. I was hearing in the first session a lot of speakers, distinguished guests talking about, like Mr. Kuruvilla talking about storage being there instead of 3 months to be perpetual or for a year or two, or our friend Chinmay talking about the KPI deliverables and the action orientation for the cities and the action so that the administrator can take the right actions for the city. ADGP sir talking about the PPP model and monetizing the assets and putting it like Keltron is managing for them and sharing the revenue from the challans and all those things. Our friend from Tata was speaking about a Barcelona model where even the decibels are heard, decibels are audible so that they can make out whether it is a gunshot or a cracker being burst. All these things, when we are talking all this, which means the physical infrastructure has to be very, very sturdy and very, very advanced, because then only all these things which different speakers have said is possible. So my presentation is based around those things, obviously on the domain which we are working, which is surveillance. I would start my presentation. Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet.
Hello.
Not yet.
Is
Not
it
yet,
audible?
Pratham.
Oh, is it viewable?
No.
Okay.
Oh, we
Maybe
can see
because of
you
the
only.
maybe because of the net. So I will carry on. Maybe
Yeah.
because is it? You can see me. Anyway, I will carry on because maybe it is because of the net.
Yeah. It has come. It has come. It has come.
Okay. Good. So just to give you the brief background of Norden, the UK headquartered company in the field of surveillance solutions and public addressal system and structured cabling. In India, we are focusing primarily on surveillance or structured cabling, but the whole in the smart city focuses on. I would restrict myself to the surveillance solution, and based on the whatever parameters which we have discussed and the other distinguished speakers have covered, based on that, the smart city basically what all it covers is your surveillance system, which includes your surveillance for crime prevention and post crime analysis, recognition system, intelligent traffic management systems, which includes various components of ANPR, RLVD, violation, no helmet, other things. Then your solutions are coming up where your vehicle cameras and the mobile in the public surveillance. And the last one is the thermal solutions, which are becoming increasingly important in post-COVID era. Just background about what are the components. It could be dome, bullet, or PDZ camera. However, as we were talking, as Mr. Kuruvilla was talking, storage. Surveillance also is going through a transformation. We were talking about earlier. We were talking about MJPEG type of compression, move to H.264, move towards H.265 now, and slowly we are moving towards beyond H.265, which I would call it H.265 plus. Somebody can call it Ultra H.265, where we are making the compressions even more so that the storage requirement reduced. This is one 2 megapixel camera storage requirement for 24 hours. So we can think he was saying we need to keep it for 1 year, 2 year, or perpetual. The kind of storage requirements are there. So we need to move towards furthermore enhancement on the compression technologies so that the storage goes down significantly. As you can see, from 264 to 265 plus, we are talking about less than half. Similarly, as we were talking about underlying infrastructure where we could monetize the physical assets, where we were talking about decibels being audible, where we were talking about KPIs being used by administrators. So there we need to have a very robust physical infrastructure, which means in the most of the crime prevention needs to be done at the night time. And at the night time, if we are talking about where the glare is coming or image is coming black, there is a possibility that we may not be able to do the crime analysis in a proper manner. What are the options available? There are white lasers available. There are starlight technology available where you can, even in the lowest of the lights, lowest of the natural lights available, you can have the colored images without glare images available. Those kind of infrastructure available, and in fact those should be used
But today, unfortunately, our tendering system is like, no, we need to probably involve as many OEMs as possible, or as many things should be accommodated, and thereby we are compromising on the physical infrastructure. Face recognition systems, again, the accuracy levels have to be very, very high in terms of face recognition system. NIST give the standards. Yes, there could be an accuracy of 99.9% as well. These are the certain components which are getting covered in the smart city. I would not like to emphasize, because all of us are very well versed with all these things. Just to put in perspective, I have put it here. The only thing is, when we talk about all these parameters, whether it is ANPR or RLVD or speed violation detection systems, when we have to talk about this, the accuracy is what matters. And accuracy, a lot of it depends on the analytics software being run and the physical infrastructure. So why I'm again and again emphasizing the quality of physical infrastructure, the parameters on which the output can be delivered by the physical infrastructure is very, very important. Just 1 second, the slide stopped moving. I'll just move on. Just give me a minute. Yeah, hope it is again with. Hello. Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
Prashant, go ahead. Yes, we can.
Hello.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
Sorry. Moving on to the vehicle solution, the public transport, the security is again one of the concerns in most of the city areas, specifically the cities. These are the certain mobile solutions available, which up as a, I would say, part 2 of the solutions, where you have NVRs which can record by itself and send uh, all the details to the central. Post-COVID era, thermal solutions have been important, wherein the public dealing, the offices dealing is very high, or even for the private offices, where people have to start coming in now. And as they say, now we have this virus for a long time. Prevention and detection is the only option available. So these thermal solutions, which are already deployed in multiple places in India, including the Gujarat CM office and Gujarat Secretariat from us, are the kind of solutions where these can monitor multiple people entering into this, can measure their temperature 3 degrees centigrade, and give an alert when the temperature goes beyond a particular set threshold, so that you can isolate that person at entering the premise itself. These are the certain solutions which I am talked primarily from the smart city perspective, pre and post COVID era. There are other solutions available with us, as I said. The other solutions which are available with us is on structured cabling, on PA systems, and access control as well.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on the smart city. Moving next speaker is Naveen Chopra. Naveen Chopra is the CEO and Principal Consultant, Agile Group. Naveen, over to you. You need to mute. Yeah.
Thanks, Shashi, and thank you for including me in this panel of smart city speakers. And more importantly, thank you for keeping me the last, because I know you keep the best for the last. And thank you all, the audience who's still on, because I know how passionate you are to make smart cities not only smart, but also sustainable. I'm not going to talk about smart cities as much. My topic is going to be slightly different from what everybody else has spoken, and I really do appreciate. I was listening from the first session and first speaker, And I believe that there is so much being thought about and done to make the city smart, because obviously that is important. Um, Everybody who's staying in the cities here, I'm sure you all realize at some point of time that with all the hard work that you do and the money that you earn, you live a better life, and you can afford, and you can, you are entitled to a better quality of life and better cities to live in. Smart cities are important from that perspective. So I will try and introduce a new concept, or rather, I would like to introduce a concept which is not new, but which has not been talked too much about in this concept of smart cities. I've been attending the programs being organized by Shashiji and the team for many years now. And I realized each time I used to attend this program, I used to wonder why nobody is talking about one of the most fundamental part, which has to talk about in these cities. All that is smart may not be sustainable. And what we need is not only smart, which we do need, absolutely we do need, but we also do need sustainably smart cities. So we're going to talk about the concept of sustainability in today's discussion here. Let me just share my presentation with you, and let me know in case you can see that.
Yeah, you need to start. Yeah.
Is it there?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is it visible now to everyone?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, this is one picture that I picked up very recently. We have seen the Millennium Cities. Someone in the earlier panel was talking about the various terms and jargons which have been introduced. Yes, we have been listening to Millennium Cities and Smart Cities and many of the terms which have come up. I did not pick up a city which was 200-year-old, but this is something that we look at. On the left-hand side of the screen is what you see on a day, on any nice day, and on the right-hand side is what you would have recently seen. The city which is very well connected, high on technology, but survival itself could be a question. I'm sure there is a lot of work, and the thought behind putting up the smart cities together was that there was increased pollution, increased population density in the cities, shrinking resources, the climate change has a toll on life every year. In city, ever since I've been living here, I was born here, I'm still remembering of the places in Delhi which get flooded every year, and we have got the same sight. You can probably change the year, and you have a bus which is submerged in a Minto bridge year after year. And that is not only Delhi. Delhi is one of those better cities. I'm sure there are many others which have been here in existence, and similar problems are being experienced. So rapid and unplanned urbanization. All these are just a few of the examples which were there for a reason, for management, for the organization, for the leadership of the country in 2014 to think about introducing the concept of smart cities. The focus was to build on sustainable and inclusive development, creating replicated models. Now, this was a pilot that was introduced with 100 smart cities, and the objective was to learn from that and try to replicate that initiative across. The smart cities are thought to be the ones which have got core infrastructure, give decent quality of life to its citizens, cleaner, sustainable environment, of course, using the application of smart solutions. We have seen a lot of smart solutions which have been talked about by a lot of our panelists here. I'm sure all these companies are doing a great to make your life comfortable. Comfortable today has to be sustainable tomorrow as well. So my focus of discussion in this quick 10 minutes is going to be more about sustainability, why it is important to be looked at, what is that can be done, what is already being done by the government of India, and how my organization and we can help you is what is going to be the intent of discussions right now. I'm going to skip a few slides, which is nothing new because you've heard it. This is something which is known to anybody who talks of smart cities, that you need to have robust IT connectivity and digitizations. You need a safe, secure environment for ladies, kids, senior citizens. You want sustainable environment, adequate water supplies, good e-governance, right? Good citizen participations, assured electricity supplies, good sanitation and hygiene, health and education, efficient urban mobility and transport. These were the elements which were also defined in the smart solutions when the concept of smart cities was being established. This is all that has been talked about. Having a robust IT connectivity, solid and water waste management, and adequate potable water. Now, I'm sure many of you would have traveled in different parts of the world. Many countries take pride that you walk into those countries, they say open a tap and drink. Because if it is being provided to you, it has to be safe to drink. However, in our country, we still have a problem, even in the most advanced places that we live in, that we can't trust the water being supplied to us. So these are basic facets of survival, which the smart cities have talked about. We are talking about how technology can make our life more convenient, which is of course being done. And I'm sure the pilot project which have been done, a few of them at advanced stage of closures, have incorporated good practices. Right, we're going to talk about them already being discussed by some of the panelists. I'm going to talk about a few more part of them and sustainability component. The requirement in smart solution was also very specifically stated that there should be more focus on green power, solar power, wind power, wherever you can get it. Of course, India has a challenge for nuclear power as a more political than anything else. There was also a requirement to have 80% of energy efficient and green buildings, especially in the redevelopment and green cities. The thought was to move back to the safe and healthier way of commuting, less fossil fuel driven vehicle, pedestrian friendly paths, intelligent traffic management. There was very good discussion on intelligent traffic management, which we had from the gentleman from Kerala who handles the traffic and the police overlodge. We talked about intelligent street lighting. We also heard our friend from Tata Steel who talked about small poles. Now, there was also an initiative which was thought about in the smart solutions in terms of making the people more enhanced in their skills and competence to facilitate this journey of smart cities, making sure that we can help more incubation and trade facilitation centers. And the idea was to encourage, which is what the Prime Minister has always been talking about, not only Atmanirbhar, has talked about being more swavlambi, has been progressing. Now this is being done. But during this process, right, was the sustainability as much deployed? Well, there have been challenges, there have been roadblocks. External climatic conditions for India as a country experiences different climates. We experience droughts and floods sometimes together. We experience earthquakes. We are into seismic zone 5, 6 different parts of the country. We are having heat waves. So we reach extreme temperatures from 50 degrees to 0 degrees in some part of the country. We are also a society which is very lifestyle. The lifestyle pressures and personal aspirations are driving the preferences. People do not prefer to have a public transport use, though there is a limitation on availability of public transport also in some cities. Process and technology limitation, another roadblock that we have seen, maybe for waste management, maybe for other technology initiatives. We are still grappling with these and trying to improve on. There is a lack of infrastructure which we have experienced, and that is something which is being built through these exercises. We are, of course, in the last couple of decades, we have seen better road infrastructure, much better than what it used to be earlier, better connectivity infrastructure. Today, in the COVID time, all of you are working from home, most of you are working from home still, and you have been able to seamlessly continue doing your job and provide services to your customers thanks to a telecom infrastructure which has evolved over a period of time. Another challenge that we have all realized is population density. We could analyze the intent or the impact of it when we saw the migratory population going back to the villages during the earlier COVID period. We could realize that how many people have moved from their place of birth and their permanent addresses to the other cities for just want of their livelihood, right? We could also understand that while we want to do a lot of things on making cities smart, there is a capacity limitation. Do we have adequate number of professionals to help it? Do we have institutions providing the trainings? Are we having infrastructure to make people more competent to build this smart city journey? Now, there was a physical space constraint we have also seen in some part of the country where there is hardly any space to expand and build green belts. Funds, of course, are limitations and resistance to change, which always has been. People have become very comfortable with what they have been, though they want better. They don't want to change as much. However, these are not the only challenges. The biggest challenge that we have realized doing some studies with smart cities and other initiatives being undertaken, we believe there's a lack of structured sustainability plans and effective management programs to drive sustainability in this journey to make country, the India, or else different specific pockets of the country better places to live in. There have been initiatives, not that we say that there are not sustainable initiatives. There have been many sustainable initiatives being taken by many of these smart cities. I'm just reflecting a few of them here, maybe from Rajkot or from any other cities that we have here. People have worked on having better usage of space, right? Control rooms, which was being talked about, having renewable power using the solar panels, having cycling as a process, as an initiative which has been driven by various smart cities, use of metros and better connectivity, rejuvenating lakes and water bodies. There have been many such initiatives we can look at. However, what is important is, are we having structured sustainability plans? Are we having an integrated plan where we do not look at only how the technology could be infused to make the life of people staying in the smart cities more convenient, more comfortable, well connected, but we also should integrate in doing this entire thing to make the cities smarter? Do we also look at how we could make the cities sustainable and live through all climatic conditions today as well as for the generations to come? There have been initiatives made by the government of India, as I told you. The most recent one from 25th of June this year, 2020, has been the establishment of the Climate Center for Cities. This is an institute, this is the body that has been established, right, by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Authority, which talks about focus on risk reduction, skill enhancement, saving energy, loss minimization, and emission reduction. This initiative, of course, there have been multiple sub-initiatives which have been also introduced. Cycles for Change is one of them. But these all initiatives have been brought by the government just to help facilitate not only that we build smart cities, but while we build smart cities, we also integrate sustainability as one of the important components. There is a new framework which has been established and relaunched, Climate Smart Cities Assessment Framework 2.0. Now, this is a framework which has been established, which has got 5 major quadrants. And in these 5 quadrants, there are questions, there are going to be assessment criteria, there are guidance documents which have marks, which have got weightages, and there is a plan to get assessment done for all smart cities to evaluate if the cities which are smart are actually smart enough and sustainable. Now, this Climate Smart Cities Assessment Framework has been provided by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, which is to provide a clear roadmap for combating climate challenge, incentivizing the holistic climate responsive development of 100 smart cities. It's a first of its kind public assessment framework on climate relevant parameters. One of our friends from the earlier session did talk of ISO standards. Now, these are good international standards. Now, this is a framework which has been homegrown, which has been built, customized to what our smart cities in the present context of India would really require and need to be evaluated on. Right? Just quickly look at a deeper on to this framework. 5 key verticals: energy and green buildings, urban planning, green cover and biodiversity, mobility and air quality, water resource management, and waste management. Now, each of these 5 verticals have given 6 evaluation criteria, and on this basis, there is a marks which is given on every of these parameters. Now, when you want to really look at these evaluation criteria, now total electrical energy in a city derived from renewable energy sources, right, per capita and per unit area electricity consumption for municipal services, per capita fossil fuel consumption per municipal services, energy efficient street lining in the cities, level of compliance, implementation, procedures and stakeholders cooperation in place for green buildings, percentage of buildings securing green building pre-certifications and final certifications up to minimal levels, the different level of certifications that we can obtain on green buildings. Then what are the climate action plans do you have? Do you have any structured programs around it? Disaster resilience. So not only in the business as usual or peace times, also during disaster times, are you prepared? Then rejuvenation and conservation of urban bodies, water bodies, open spaces, built-up areas, proportion of the green cover to the entire city portion, proportion of the native tree species. So there are overall 30 parameters with marks assigned, and there is a weightage that has been given to each of the sector. Now, this has been very well-defined framework, which would very soon be used to evaluate the smart cities. Once it is to be used to evaluate the smart cities, how prepared are we to rank higher Do we want to be qualified as
Naveen, you need to hurry up. Yeah.
champions or leaders or beginners? So there is thought that I would like to propel here to make everybody start thinking on these lines as to how we can make our cities more sustainable. At Agile Group, we have been in existence for a long time and been helping organizations in corporate world and government bodies also in establishment of these frameworks. So we not only help build the frameworks, we also help train, enhance, and help deploy the frameworks. So we bring in a solution for the smart cities to baseline where you stand right now, help you build programs, enhance the competence of your team members involved in the development and building of the smart cities, help with the deployment frameworks, review and verify, and eventually help you with assessment for you to be offered for external assessment to be rated on this framework, right? A few other initiatives that I think we can suggest you is, first of all, to have a structured sustainability plan. We can have climate change management programs.
Naveen, you need to sum up now.
Sure. So these are some services which, of course, we can help you with. Let me quickly take you to a bit of what we are and who we are. We have been in existence for the last 12 years, helping clients in more than 35 countries on verticals, which could be sustainability to information security, to IT services, to business continuity, compliances, safety, security, right? We have been partners with universities and organizations in helping them in the sustainability journey. We are GRI certified partners on sustainability initiatives. We undertake the capacity building trainings and deployments. I'm sure there is a lot that we do, but unfortunately, being the last was not only the benefit, there's also a disadvantage that I need to get you back to your lunch tables soon. So I will skip most part of my introduction. But as an organization, you could look for us on the website. Agile Group has been into advisory space, training space, assessment space, and of course, consulting. And we would be very happy to partner with all the aspirants who would want to make the smart cities more sustainable. So let's have to move from being smart to being sustainability smart.
Thank you, Naveen.
It could be shared, you could share it with all people who would be interested to understand this more.
Thank you. Being a last speaker, I believe you've taken more time. I think you've taken more time, more than 15 minutes you have taken. Anyway, as we've been talked about it, I request all the speakers to unmute yourself so that we can have 1 or 2 minute discussion. So the entire concept and the entire discussion what we had today is talking about sustainability is very important. How do we keep this smart city pace up? As Sharat shared a couple of important points, Abhishek shared, and Ahmed said, so even Devrata said, so we as an ecosystem should work together to take it up. Because what is happening is now the few tenders are coming, every vendors want their specs to come in, and then it gets into a cancellation mode. You see so many things are cancelling. So instead of getting into the specking and other thing, we should be open. As Prashant said, that we should be working together, all this smart city OEM vendors, to make it a sustainable smart cities and a good smart city. Having said that, Sharaji, I would like to ask you, what is the present IoT things happening on the smart city? I know Sushil Kumarji is heading the division in TEC. What is the present scenario, if you can summarize in 1 minute?
Thank you, Sashi. Certainly, the present scenario is that standardization, interoperability, those are very much the focus points, the smart city platforms, and assisting smart city practitioners to have access to national standards. A recommendation has been made for the entire release 2 of 1M2M to be incorporated as national standards, so that it becomes very easy for the problems that you just described of cancellations because of absence of correct specifications. I think those are likely to get sorted out in the very near future.
Very good, Sharaji. Devrata, as a Tata organization, how do you look at the upcoming smart cities and the opportunities in India?
Yeah, thank you, Shashi. Upcoming opportunities are plenty, and what we see is basically it is stage 1 of the smart city movement which India is witnessing. So if you see about the type of the maturity level which the other countries in the world, other cities have moved into, we are basically at a very base level. All of us must know that exactly. So stage one is something which is giving us so much of opportunity for all of us. And stage two, stage three is yet to come. So we are in a long haul, I would say. And the technology is something which we will decide who is going to win and how we can put value to the smart city. So that's very important for all of us. So stage two, stage three is something. Let's look for much more advanced smart city configuration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have two people from the cyberspace in this panel. I would like to ask both of them. Where do you look at the cyber war or the cyber security in the coming years? Ahmed?
Yes, hello. So with this transition and transformation happening to smart cities and IoT devices, this definitely opens a new sector of or new vectors of attacks, and it's very important to be able to look at this from an identity perspective, right, and from a device perspective. So this is basically the angle that we need to identify the users, the devices connecting on the network, be able to profile them and determine these are legitimate devices and IoT users, laptops that should be connecting on the network, and continue to monitor and identify that these are doing what they're supposed to do. So security is a continuous monitoring and adjustment and profiling, and this is basically where we need to continuously be working in the security space.
Thank you, Ahmed. Brijesh?
Yeah, so I think just adding to what Ahmed mentioned, so to the cybersecurity change which is happening and that definitely impact the smart cities as well. I think risk and trust, these are the two parameters which needs to be assessed continuously, and it needs to be adapted. I think the cybersecurity world will go into this way. So I think monitoring, baselining, user behavior, these are the different set of parameters which will play a role in predictive analysis, so that smart city should not also be now branded at that one of the state's smart city data center got compromised. Okay, so we know we don't need to land it into that situation. So we need to be focused on a predictive security to address these new areas.
I agree, because nowadays in the cyber there is organized crime, there is unorganized crime. When it comes to the organized crime, recently one of my friend who was looking for a marriage for his daughter got into the jeevansathi.com. They've been chatting for the last 6 months. Finally, he said, "I'm coming back with Vande Mataram flight and all." He said, "I'm landed, but I don't have the Indian money to pay the customs." Asked her to transfer 46,000 rupees. After transferring, there is no call. He switched off all the mobile.
Yeah.
So there is an organized crime happening, and the people like jeevansathi.com getting in. So when finally the cyber people went into it, it found it is one of the Janta flat this gentleman lives, and he runs in a company where he says, "No, मैंने उनको bill भेजा, they have sent the bill and they have paid for the invoice." So
Yeah.
this is what the organized crime is happening.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, having said that, I would like to move to Aman. Aman, what do you see the smart class, the smart which you talked about, the coming futures? What is the business growth for you in this country?
So, from our perspective, the technology that we provide is a foundation
No,
technology.
this is for Aman. Aman, this is for Aman. Aman. Aman?
Yeah. Yeah, hi. Sorry, the name seems to be similar. That's why. That's why might be a confusion.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Shashi, for asking this. As I pointed out in my presentation as well, not only tier 1 towns or tier 2 towns, the smart education has even penetrated into tier 3 towns as well as rural India as well. Even we ourselves have done more than 1,500 Kendriya Vidyalayas where even via the help of UPS, where the regulated power supply was not there, we were able to run our smart education solutions even in the rural part of the and even the most unreachable parts of the country as well. So the scope is immense. However, the idea which I kept on pointing out in my presentation as well was the idea is to have more and more attention towards smart education. I'll just take a very small example. Now that in the COVID-19, now this will not go forever. There will be a time where this has to end. Now, I personally see this as a very big opportunity for the government and for the key decision makers that by this time, the students are getting back, say 3 months, 6 months down the line. By this time, they should be ready enough with the infrastructure so that the students are incentivized and the parents are also incentivized for sending their kids back to school. There will be a constant amount of fear with everyone. Whosoever is sending back the kids to the school, there will be a fear. But this can actually be a very good incentive for the parents as well as students. That when they go back, they have very new things to learn. And today, the need of the hour is you talk about all the best of the technologies available in the world, the cyber security is available in the world. But बात तो वही है कि eventually आपके पास students तो ऐसे होने चाहिए, minds तो ऐसे होने चाहिए who can live in that smart city. There's a point that we talk about a lot of high tech-centric gadgets available and the accessibility is there to the citizens of a smart city. But are they able to use it? तो वो mindset को तो develop करना ही पड़ेगा. वो mindset जब develop तब होगा when you have creativity available in the country.
I agree. I agree with you, man. Yeah, the mind for coming to the smart classes need to be developed. I agree with you.
Thank you.
Before we end up this 100 Smart Cities conference today, I would like to ask Abhishek and Prashant, looking at the Chinese, now the government has decided no Chinese in India, no Chinese equipment in India. So what do you look at your business grow in this country, Abhishek? Is Abhishek there? Okay, Prashant?
Yeah, hello. I think it is a good good step initiated by the government. However, there are still some ambiguities because people are still taking that as very differently and taking that circular and interpreting it by their own way. Because in one particular discussion I was there, and they said no sub-assembly of the equipment also can be from the China. Unfortunately, the components, still the electronic components and the overall manufacturing industry is dependent to get few components from China. So there is some clarity which is required. Having said that, I would like to make a point here. Norton as a company, we see this as an opportunity, and we very soon are starting our plan to start our manufacturing plant in India for cameras. Hopefully within this year or early next year.
Thank you, Prashant. Debrata, do you look at? Do you think there will be a plus point for you for your market because of China's export will not happen to India?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, but the statistic says that in the first 3 months of financial year 21, China imported a whole lot of material from India and particularly steel. So the Indian companies, metal companies particularly, they survived only on export to China. And that's very interesting. And in the July month, China has produced highest quantity of steel ever in their history. So there are lots of conflicting data which is coming up there. We are not sure whether we can survive without China in the short and medium term because there are too much of things which have gone into our daily living and DNA from Chinese materials and pharmaceuticals, drugs, API, etc. But otherwise, what we see is that yes, from the Tatas, most of our manufacturing is completely sustainable at domestically, and we believe in that. But yes, for the technology part of it, we have to scout around, and we have done so from various countries altogether. We have a lot of plans for embarking on the journey of smart city, and we are seeing it not for 2, 3, 4 years. We are seeing it at least for 10 to 15 years from now. Thank you.
Thank you, Debrata. There are a lot of data center business are coming up, and few smart cities. I'm sure you will have good number of business in the next quarter. Having said that, is Abhishek back here? Abhishek? No. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I would like to thank each one of you to be with us today. We had a long session today, and thank you for all the partners, supporting association, and our knowledge partner, Broadband India Forum, and each one of you, my friends, to be with us to get to the for this virtual conference. Let's work together, and if our good friend Ahmad agrees, we will do the next Indian Smart Cities in Dubai with your support. Ahmad?
Yes, yes, I'm here. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I said with all the support of our partners and with your support, once the COVID is over, we will do the 100 smart cities of India in Dubai.
Absolutely, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
And
Take care.
have a nice time. Yeah. One of you can log off. Thank you. And all the attendees, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Shashi.
Shashi sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care. A big thank you to the BIF and BE team.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Each one of you need to log off. Yeah.